Welcome back to the Exposing Grief YouTube channel. Yes, we are still removing that stigma of grief, exposing it for what it truly is, which is that natural and healthy way of living and loving. It's the end of January. We're almost done with our first month of the new year. How are you doing? How have things been going? I hope you are finding moments to pause and give yourself grace if you're finding the first month of the new year particularly hard. And I also hope you're finding this pre-planning series helpful and you're placing it into your journey as necessary and as fits for you. I've got one more guest in this series. Her name is Missy. She's a professional organizer, so a little bit different than what we've had, and you can utilize this service as you can with any of the others before or after a loss. But we're going to talk about how organizing might be beneficial for those who are in the anticipatory grief phase. So, Missy, let's hear what you got to say.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Exposing Grief YouTube channel. You know what we're doing here. We're removing that stigma of grief and exposing it for what it truly is, which is a natural and healthy way of living and loving. It is the end of January. I am sitting with my last guest for this series. I'm sitting with Missy, who is a professional organizer. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. That's okay. She's going to talk about it. So, Missy, I will turn it over to you. Please share with the viewers who you are and what got you into the line of work that you're in.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brittany, for having me here today. I really appreciate it. A little bit about me is I grew up in the Twin Cities, just west of the Twin Cities, and I grew up in a messy home, and then I created one myself for years. And I grew up in a loving home, a mom, a dad, and my brother. And then my parents went through a divorce, and everything I think that was going on externally started happening internally. And the way that I dealt with it was I reflected any pain or confusion about things that were going on and projected that into my space. So my room as a teenager looked like, well, there's just a small path from the doorway to the bed, and that was about it. I specifically remember like stepping on piles and hearing a CD break and being like, oh no, just that cringe moment of like, what was I doing with my space? And I think that is pretty common for people that are going through different types of grief or transitions in life, where sometimes what is happening internally gets reflected externally, and it can leave people feeling stuck. So what I do as a professional organizer is what I did in my own space is I learned how to work through it and really how to sort and decide like, what did I want to keep? What did I need moving forward in this next season of life? Where was I headed? And what did I want to leave behind and let go of, donate, those kind of things. And that's what I help people do today. So I go into someone's home, I work together with them, talk about their vision, their path that they're on, where they want to be moving forward, and what's holding them back. And then we literally sort through their stuff and help them decide what to keep, what to let go of, and then create an organizing system that's easy and simple for them to maintain based on how they live.
I love that. Yeah, it's so important. I mean, I think transition in general, like you had hit on, can be stressful, excuse me, and cause different things and whatever. But I think, okay, we can look at that and go, this is a problem, but then we don't know where to turn to. So I love that you have a service that's like, hey, here's exactly, we're touching on everything that you're looking at. I also love this piece that you speak to of I was projecting what I was feeling internally into my space. I think that's a great way to explain it and provide other people with language on how to explain what they're experiencing.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
shared a little bit about kind of what you do, but can you share a little bit more about your company, Clear Spaces?
Sure. So Clear Spaces Organizing is the name of my business. And I started it because when I did this to my own home, friends and family started to notice. And they were like, hey, could you come over and help me with my closet? Or could you help me in my kitchen? Could you help me in my storage area? Those are some of my favorites. So I just started going around and helping people sort through their stuff. And the feedback I was getting was, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. I feel lighter. The house feels lighter. And I can totally relate to that because that's how I felt when I did it to my own space. I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. And I wanted everyone to be able to experience that as well. So I had a really kind family member pull me aside and say, like, this is actually really important, the service that you're doing. And she's like, more people should experience it. And I said, all right, let's do it. So I opened Clear Spaces the next month. And basically what I do is meet people wherever they're at. There's no judgment because I have done this myself. So no mess surprises me. It doesn't overwhelm me. I get really excited about it because I know what's coming on the other side of it and how much freedom people are going to feel to just be able to really breathe and like rest in their space and feel peace and calm there, where maybe it's felt stressful or anxiety producing. That's super common. People come to me saying, like, I just feel overwhelmed, or I feel stuck, or we moved in this long ago, but there's still boxes that haven't been unpacked, and people are busy. They lead really full lives. And so being an extra set of hands to just help get that project done, it alleviates that the mental and emotional strain that's just kind of invisible, but it's present. And so people just feel better. And I don't know, there's no better feeling than helping somebody else reach the goals and that they have for their home. For me, anyway. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but I just really love it.
Yeah, and I can tell when you talk about it. I can tell you get excited and you're really passionate about it, which is great, right? Like we always want to work with somebody who we can tell they really love what they do. And you touched on some really great benefits of having a professional organizer and how you can get them there. What about for those walking through a grief journey specifically? What might be some of the benefits of professional organizing for them?
Sure. So I have been affected by grief and experienced a bunch of different losses in my life, which I think we'll touch on another date. But so I have a really soft spot in my heart for people that are going through any kind of grief, whether it's a divorce, infertility, loss of someone that they love that was very close to them. Like these are all really important and tender life experiences that we go through. So what I do is I hold just a lot of space for people that are going through their stuff. I've definitely, been with people who have gone through divorce and we're singing and dancing as we're organizing their kitchen, and we're singing along to a musical that she's got on or things like that. And then in the same day, we can also just be crying together over, we've come across maybe a gift that was given to them as a wedding gift, and now they've gone through a divorce and they're like, you know what, I never used that fondue pot. It's just going to make me sad when I see it. Let's let it go. So it's just really being present to what people are going through. I just feel honored, honestly, to be invited into that space with people. So I do it with compassionate guidance, and yeah, happy to meet people wherever they're at.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we work very similar in the sense of obviously I do the same, right? Meet the clients where they're at, and feeling honored to be welcomed into that space and to be able to walk this journey in whatever way however they want you to walk that with them. It is a blessing for sure. And I love that you create that space, and hopefully viewers, you're getting a vibe that Missi is very gentle and is a safe person to walk with. So anytime we talk about services or skills or whatever, people always wonder like, well, how do I know if that's right for me? So how would you encourage the viewers and listeners to gauge whether professional services or professional organizing is a right fit for them?
Yeah, I would say look around your space and see if there is anywhere that you're feeling really stuck on. And sometimes it is helpful just to have a second set of eyes come in and have some fresh ideas. I have a brain for different solutions for different parts of the home. And so professional organizers, one of the services they can offer is that they've already done this in a bunch of different places and a bunch of different homes with a bunch of different types of people. So getting to learn, one of my favorite parts is getting to learn the individual, learn how they function in their home, kind of what their routines are, who's living there, and just really creating a system that can work for the whole home. That's the benefit. And so if you feel like, man, I just really can't figure out. I had one client call me and she goes, I have tried 3 different times to organize this linen closet and I just can't get it. She goes, I'm done trying. I need you to come over. And sure enough, boom, she was just like, that's it. This is what I needed. So Yeah, just kind of do some self-reflection about, if you're feeling stuck, this is what we do, and we can help you.
I love that. And isn't that the truth, right? Of you look at something, you're like, I know what needs to happen,
Yeah,
but I don't know how to get there.
right.
Yeah. And so it sounds like that's how you can be helpful in addition to multiple other things. But um, is there ever an instance where bringing in a professional organizer in any sort of transition, but particularly grief, may not be beneficial for somebody?
Yeah. There's probably a couple of different times. I would say in general, grief or not, if you are looking to fix somebody else in your house, if somebody else's mess is driving you crazy, a professional organizer cannot help with that, unfortunately, because we will work with the individual who hires us to go through their things, but we won't go through somebody else's if that person is still living with you. If that person has passed away, we are a great resource afterwards. And whenever you're ready, I've worked with some people as soon as just a few months after their loved one has passed away. For some people, it's been years later. Same with a divorce. Sometimes people have gone through the pain associated with a divorce, and they get into a new space and they want to make it their own home. And bringing in a professional organizer at that stage is really wonderful, because they're like, they get to create this new season of their life, and they get to ask the questions of, what do I want moving forward? And it's a bit of self-care for them and for their home.
Yeah, I appreciate that you hit on this piece of we cannot help in the space of cleaning up somebody else's space, right? Because I would imagine a lot of people would be like, oh, any sort of clutter, come on in. So I appreciate that you highlight like, no, maybe not. And you said that and I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So I would imagine viewers are probably thinking the same. And two, you're kind of wrapping up this pre-planning January series with exposing grief, and part of pre-planning, viewers and listeners to keep in mind, isn't necessarily engaging in the service right now. It might be hearing of the service right now, putting it in your back pocket, so that way when the transition, the change, the loss occurs, you're already overwhelmed with all these logistics. Now you don't have to worry about, what am I going to do with all this stuff? How am I going to organize this? You already have this resource. You already have Missy in your back pocket to call if and when you need her. So Missy, thank you for highlighting it's not necessarily a service you'd use leading up to the loss or the change, but definitely after.
Yeah,
Come right to it, right?
absolutely. Because there's so much going on beforehand. Like, keep the focus there, and I'll be
Yeah.
right where you are. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you had hit on a beautiful point in a conversation prior to us jumping on this call of, especially for those who are anticipating a loss, who are expecting this loss to come, you want to be able to enjoy the moments that you have left. Let's not busy that with organizing stuff. But what we can do is have that resource listed. So when the loss happens, you don't have to worry about, where am I going to find this? You already have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you give our viewers and listeners a little bit of insight into kind of the process you use with clients, what they may expect if they're working with you?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I touched on some of the fun stuff earlier. I think what is fun for me is how much my clients say to me, like, I kind of, because they dread it, right? Otherwise they would have done it by now. So the reason they're contacting me is they're like, I've tried to get organized, or I have no interest in it, or I don't know how to, but I could see how it could help me. And then we make it fun. And they're like, I was like, one of my clients said, she goes, I have to be honest, I have pretty low expectations. She goes, but I did not expect us to have this much fun together. Like, laughing, very common during sessions. Yeah,
I love that.
I love working with people who have a good sense of humor, and I seem to attract a lot of those. And so we have fun. We connect, we chat, we get to know each other better, especially if someone wants to work side by side with me. So I guess I should clarify, there's two different ways. Some people really want to dive in. They want just another set of hands beside them. Especially my friends with ADHD can really benefit from body doubling, of just having someone there to help keep them on task and stay focused. And then in addition to that, we have some people who are like, hey, I just lead a really full life and I just need this done. So if you can, and your team can just come in and get the work done, I will be here to pop in and answer questions. And so people will just pop in and I'll say, okay, great. We've got all of your mugs here. Let's take a look at them real quick. Make sure that these are all still ones that you want to keep. And sometimes they're like, oh gosh, no. And we're just growing the donate pile, as they're moving through different sections. So some people, especially with people working from home, they'll literally be upstairs working and then come down when they have time, answer a few questions, back and forth all day. So I make it really simple to just work around each individual's schedule, also their interest level of, do they really just want to learn some tips and tricks to be able to then go and continue organizing throughout the rest of their home? Awesome. Work with me for a day and we'll get that started for you and then you can keep going. I will be honest, most people are just like, no, just keep coming because I only do the work when you're here. So
You're their accountability buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Truly.
Yeah, that's so great. I appreciate that you highlight the different ways that are most common, because I would imagine people are like, oh my gosh, like, do I have to do the work or can you just come in and do it? Or people might be thinking, well, I'd like to learn, right? So it's great that you provide both options. I also love and appreciate that you create a space for both experiences. I talk about that a lot with my clients of there's going to, whether it's grief, divorce, whatever transition you are navigating or stressor you are navigating, you are going to have both negative and positive emotions. And we benefit from allowing both to be there. And you're doing that in your organization process as well, right? You hit on this piece of you can expect laughter and a good time, and people are really pleasantly surprised how much they enjoyed this. And also in the same day, we can cry about some of the stuff that we're organizing as well. So I will thank you on behalf of clients. I mean, I've never met any of your clients, but I thank you for creating a space for them to have both experiences, because that's very real.
Right. Yep, it is. It is.
So for the viewers and listeners who might be interested in professional organizing or just your services in general and how it might benefit them, what would you encourage them for their next steps to be?
Sure. So if you want to get in touch with me, I can give you some ways to do that. My website is a little bit of a mouthful, so I'll just tell you the how to find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Listeners to viewers, I will be putting all of her contact information below. So if you don't have a pen and paper or anything to write this down, don't worry. I've got you covered.
I'll say it anyway. My Instagram is Clear Spaces Organizing. I'm mostly in stories. And on Facebook, it's Clear Spaces Organizing MN for Minnesota. But to be honest, I'll just tell you the first step, what it looks like is getting in touch with me to schedule a complimentary phone consultation. And so that'll be us just rather briefly, honestly, 10 to 15 minutes, just talking about your project, learning a little bit more about you, what you're looking for, seeing if this could be a good fit, answering any questions. And then from there, what we do is I schedule a complimentary in-home consultation. So I'll spend up to an hour in your home walking through it with you. You can show me your pain points, show me what you've tried, what hasn't worked. Or if there is a space in your house that is working really well, I would love to see it because that gives me such great insight into how your brain works. For some people, they could never be bothered to like hang up a coat, like hooks are going to be their lifeline. For some people, they need to have it tucked behind a door. So just learning some of those things right off the bat really helps give me some insight into which kind of systems I can create that are really going to work well for you.
Fantastic. And the complimentary piece is so wonderful. I know people are, always question like, well, how do I know if this is going to benefit me before I dive right in? So, and the fact that you go in, and I love that you're show me the pain points and also show me something that's working really well so I can get a better idea of how you function. Absolutely awesome. So viewers, listeners, like I said, all of her contact information is below. So if you want to reach out to her, you should have easy access there. Missi, is there anything else you'd like the viewers or listeners to know about yourself, your process, your business, whatever?
I mean, I just feel really grateful that you've invited me here. I know one of the reasons why we met is when I found out that you specialize in grief. I was like, oh, I want to talk to you. Because when I went through some of my own grief, I could not read enough books about it. Like I just wanted to learn and understand and like process in a really healthy way. So yeah, it's just, I think that's just a fun maybe fun is not quite the right word, but like it's an extra piece that that I have experienced in my own life, that it just gives me just a big sensitivity and appreciation to anybody else going through any sort of transition, loss, grief. Like, I'm here for it. And yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to be introduced to your viewers. So thank you.
Yeah, and I thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise. And listeners and viewers, as she mentioned, she will be on my podcast later this year to talk more about her grief journey and how she encountered grief, what that looked like. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. I don't know quite when it's going to happen yet, but Missi, we will have you back on so you can talk about that piece. But I thank you again for taking the time to chat with me even outside of this, but then come on and talk to the listeners and share the great service you have to offer. And viewers, I hope you found it useful.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Yes, thank you. We will be back in February. We're already coming up on another month. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you have not, download or follow the podcast if you have not, and we will be back soon.
Missi, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate you speaking to our listeners and viewers about what organizing is and how it can benefit someone in their grief journey, both before and after a loss, but specifically to that anticipatory grief phase. So thank you for your time. Viewers, as always, thank you for tuning in. If you have any other questions or comments, or you want to start working with Missi, her contact information is below, as is mine if you want to connect with me. Please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet, so you don't miss any other good content that's coming in the upcoming months for the rest of this year. Be sure to take care of yourself, and I will see you all in February.